Hello everyone, we're here with another writing video. In case you're new here, please subscribe to the channel because more writing videos will follow. So, today we're talking about plot twists. And there's a plot twist to this video because I was away for some days now, I was on a trip, and I thought to myself, oh, you can record this video while you're driving, it will be perfectly fine. And it was not. So I'm remaking this video and I hope I'll hit everything this time, because the first time I managed to get everything I wanted in one go and the sound is awful. I mean, just listen to it for a while. Hello, there's the Nels gig, and today we'll have another writing video. Recording this one in my car, so there may be noise or the quality may not be as good. Well, this happens. Today we'll talk about plot twists. And plot twists are often used by writers to shock the audience, to surprise the audience, to take a boring and predictable plot and turn it into something completely different, something more exciting. Terrified? I thought so. So, without further ado, let's go to plot twists. Plot twists are something readers often complain about. Plot twists are often used as a way for the writer, the author of a story, to make this story more interesting by throwing a wrench in the gear and make everything stop. Things seem to go one place and they go to another, and plot twists are very often used, and they're also very often maligned by readers because they often feel inorganic, they feel foreign, they're just out there for shock value according to some of them. So what can you do in order to get a more convincing plot twist? And I've got 3 tricks for you. It should be noted that nowadays plot twists are often used instead of the term of subverting expectation or subverting tropes, and they're somewhat different. Plot twists are twists of the plot. They are surprises coming out of nowhere while telling the story. Subverting expectations or subverting tropes, it's a more metatextual plot twist, meaning that the reader is expecting something to happen because it always happens in this sort of stories, but something entirely different happens instead. However, I don't want to get very technical, and in this video both plot twists and trope twists, subverting expectation, will be used as the same thing. It doesn't matter. And in order to make my example more easy to follow, I will use an imaginary story. We have a thriller, something I don't write. I mostly write fantasy and horror, but whatever, you get my point. We have this story idea. We have this woman, it's an everyday woman, let's call her Gina, and she used to have an asshole of a boyfriend, let's call him Thomas. Thomas was abusing her, both mentally and physically, and one day he disappeared. He went on a trip and he went missing. Gina heard nothing from him and was thankful for that because she couldn't stand his abuse. But Thomas was in prison in another country or another county or whatever. Never mind that. And now he's free and he wants Gina back. But maybe Gina has found a new boyfriend. Maybe she made a new life for herself. So Thomas abducts her. I know it gets dark, but it's a thriller. And tries to make her love him back. Gina escapes. I don't know, she manages to defeat him, to maybe kill him, and then she takes a car and she drives away to the sunset, and that's a great ending. But our author wants something shocking for the final page, so he has Gina crash her car, and that's how it ends. And that's a plot twist in the ending, and I can pretty sure guarantee that there are many readers who will complain about it because reasons. So, how can our author fix that? One trick to use in this case is foreshadowing. What is foreshadowing? Foreshadowing is mentioning something earlier in your novel, in your story, and will play part later. It doesn't have to be literal, it can be symbolic. For instance, in the opening scene, which has to have a hook for the reader to get hooked in and read more, we will have Gina riding her car in town to do jobs, and she suddenly sees a man look like Thomas, and she's shocked and she almost crashed her car. That's a very dramatic scene. It shows us early on how afraid she is of Thomas, how much she has suffered because of him. We also get the reader to realize that maybe that Thomas will be back. We can pull off a lot of early scenes about how her life is better right now, how happy or haunted she is, while the reader expects Thomas to reappear and looking forward to it. And this is a hook. But at the same time, we have the car crash in the reader's mind from the very first scene. So, when the plot twist happens, it doesn't come out of nowhere. There was already a car crash. So that's how much of the criticism can be waved away, just by adding a random scene. Another trick to use is make the plot twist appear logical in the context of the novel. For instance, we can have Gina drugged, or maybe she gets hit in the head and she's drowsy before escaping. So when she goes behind the wheel, not only she's driving away in the sunset, but she's taking a huge risk. It's very probable she will crash the car, because her perception is clouded, is unclear. However, she wants so much to escape from Thomas, she's so driven that she risks life and limb to do so. So that adds extra drama to the plot twist. Not only is it feasible to happen, the reader is expecting it to happen in a small capacity, and this makes the story more dramatic and the plot twist come off as something the reader hoped against, so that makes the plot twist more impactful. And a third trick to use in a plot twist is to have this plot twist, this subversion of the trope, strengthen the themes of the story. For instance, in Gina's case, in this example story, one of the main themes can be that Gina cannot escape Thomas. There is no escape. No matter what she does, she will end up trapped in the relationship. And if this theme is hammered again and again throughout the story, when she finally defeats or maybe kills Thomas and she's good to go, she's free, she doesn't manage to escape. Something happens and keeps her here, keeps her trapped, doesn't allow her to go away from the troubled situation. On the other hand, if the theme is, say that love can be toxic, that you can love the wrong sort of people, and I don't know what to do this on the story because it's obviously very wrong in my opinion, of course. But yes, if your theme is that Gina and Thomas love each other in a very wrong way and they hurt each other because of their love, and you throw this plot twist in the end, it comes out of nowhere and it makes the theme fizzle out, because at the end you have to give something very strong, because let's be honest, the end of a book, the end of a story sells the next book or the next story. You want to have an impact, you want to have the reader to feel something very strong. If you have one theme throughout the entire book and then you have a scene, an end scene that has a completely different theme or is not thematically relevant to what you're trying to do throughout the novel, then people are going to be very, very pissed. So these are the three things you can do in order to make a plot twist feel more natural. A great example of these three things being used expertly, in my opinion, is the first book of A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, and also the first season of Game of Thrones, the TV adaptation. And we have, spoiler warning, we have the person that appears to be the protagonist, Ned Stark, lose his head. So how do we get this amazing plot twist and subversion of trope at the same time? First of all, the first time we see Ned Stark, he's chopping the head off some outlaws, and he's doing it himself because, in his opinion, a good leader is not afraid to have his hands dirty. He should be the executioner when he orders somebody's death, and that's a great character moment. But at the same time, we have a beheading in the beginning, and that's foreshadowing. We also have him discussing with his wife if he should go to the south, and in the book he says, "Oh no, I'm going to lose my head down there." In the series, that's his wife, because they swap dialogue for this scene, but never mind. So we have a very early foreshadowing of things will go wrong. We also have a very reasonable finale. We get to this point and it feels very natural because the leader that orders his execution is a very cruel teenage boy, and he's bound to ask for his death, even though he did everything he was asked for, even though he asked for forgiveness. And this makes perfect sense, and is also a great character moment because it builds an antagonist. And there is a theme in this novel that in the Game of Thrones you win or you die. And when this plot twist happens, when this subversion of expectation happens, because let's be honest, in a scene like that in a fantasy novel, a twist happens at this exact moment and the hero is saved. In Game of Thrones, the twist is that there is no twist to save the protagonist, and that's brilliant. That works very well because it comes out of the blue and subverts all expectations. But it also reinforced the theme that in the Game of Thrones you win or you die. And Ned Stark, being honest and honorable to a fault, he dies because there's no way he wins. So I hope this video was helpful. If you really consider that those 3 tips will help you write better plot twists, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Thank you for listening.